data is important. So the more data you have, the more you have to protect, but also the more you can analyze and optimize how things are operating. Remote monitoring, right? Security, it's nice to be able to see things from a distance, to be able to have data being analyzed and understand that there are problems going on. So having facial recognition on cameras to track people who are maybe don't have the best intentions, being able to do things from a distance is important. If you are a medical company, then you've got all kinds of Hipaa regulations that you have to deal with. Those Hipaa regulations, you may not think of your HVAC system as a part of that. Well, if it's connected on the network, it is, and you have to deal with that, and that can become a problem. Right? There's also the one that we are most familiar with when we think of security is the hackers one. And so you've got these devices that are on your network that are communicating out, and some of them can be controlled remotely. So, they can do things like spread malware, they can open holes in your network, they can allow attackers inside your network. And that, obviously is a big problem. We just have to look to, sort of the poster child for this, right, is Target, where their HVAC system and the credentials that they gave to some of the people who were servicing that so they could service it remotely was responsible in a large part for the compromise of credit card numbers of thousands of their customers. And so that's a big problem. And these doors in can be a big problem. So the other thing is there are hidden costs, which we don't necessarily consider. And the hidden costs are not just the increased IT overhead, but there's also liabilities that we can incur as a result of that. And some of those are just sort of forming. I don't think that the legal frameworks have caught up with this yet, but there are examples of people using smartphones at work in California, and in this case it was to make calls. But one of the things that has happened as a result of that is that they were making business calls, and even though they had plans that were unlimited calling, their employers were found, liable is not the right word, but they had to pay for part of those people's cell phone service. Then as a provider, what data do I need? As a provider, what do I really need, and what do I plan to do with it? And you need to be honest and say, is this data a big asset, that I'm going to be collecting for a number of customers and analyzing? And if I'm doing that, what are the legal implications of that, and how do I have to deal with that? And that's going to vary, most companies here are Connecticut, but as you start moving internationally, that becomes a bigger and bigger issue as a provider. And we deal with that with our products, where we've got to set up data centers in certain countries because data is not allowed to leave the country. What do you need a web browser on your refrigerator for? Is it going to be for recipes when you're there? Are you going to keep track of what's in the fridge? And who is going to get that data? And what are they going to do with it? Is LG going to use it? Are they going to eventually sell it to a health insurance company? Are certain health insurance companies going to say, we'll give you a break on your insurance if you let us know what's in your refrigerator? These things are happening with cars. We see it, right? You plug in something to your car and you get a discount based upon how you drive.
So, simple thing, why don't we secure? So let's talk about security for a minute and what it is. Because oftentimes when I say to people, oh, we do security, they go, oh, you encrypt things. We do, but it's more than that. So you get an email from somebody saying it's Citibank, and we need some information about your account. You can't see them. How do you know it's Citibank? So you need to be able to authenticate who it is. And in a digital world, there's a lot of things that need to be authenticated. There have been some great hacks. We're working with some medical device companies, which you'd think, okay, pumps and other things you want security, but fitness devices. Reading lately that companies are looking at how to gather your heart monitor info to identify anomalies and issues, so pharmaceutical companies can market the appropriate things to you. Google AdWords on steroids. But what if I don't want to share my medical information, even though I'm broadcasting it everywhere I walk? So there's a lot of things happening And I would suggest, as often as the case, and it can go all the way back to the world of DVDs and movies, where there's minimal security, and we thought nothing of it until I think a kid in Belgium came up with 16 lines of code, and we could all burn or rip our movies onto our own DVDs, etc. So as these devices are rushing into the market, you know, it's really great. I sit on several standards committees and ISO and what have you for certification for security devices. I will tell you, they do not move at any rate that keeps up with what's happening with the products or platforms in the market. So you should definitely monitor those sorts of things. But how bad is the problem? And I would suggest it's bad. It is a massive flow of stuff rushing into the market, making our lives better initially. And we need to give some consideration. So again, just to wrap up, you know, there's a challenge in security of these devices. Individually, you can do it. So again, at a lower level than Rick's overview, which was great for presentation. You know, think about, you know, what is it you need in terms of authentication. Because frankly, we're authenticating things. We don't need data protection or encryption. Why? Because the thing is going to be 1 or 2 inches away. So if it's a $1,000 bottle of wine, I don't need to hide that fact. However, on some other larger entity items, particularly to Rick's points, yes, you do need to not only hide that fact, but hide or protect the data. Current solutions may not come from existing protocols and tools, and again, I suggest that because we've seen this massive delay from bringing security to the market to actually keep up with these little devices and the microcontrollers and sensors and you know, everything right down to you know, the stuff on monitoring your bicycle or monitoring, you know, your kid's movements or your dog or your pet or the smart meter on your home. So it goes on and on. Think about the ramifications. It's an exciting world. A lot of great movie material in this. Okay, thank you.